Good afternoon, Nkosi Talk Shows family. Is Lumsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice late from within. So with me today, I'm with Amanda Murray. How are you, Amanda?
I'm good. It's bright and early here as always.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. You going to school today?
Yeah, yeah, as
Awesome,
always.
awesome. So today's topic is before you lead others, lead your inner world. Before you lead a team, a family, ministry, business, or a movement, you must first lead the most important place you will ever influence your inner world. Because public leadership without private alignment eventually collapses. You can have charisma and still be unstable. You can be gifted and still be emotionally unsafe. You can be visionary and still be internal wounded, reactive, and inconsistent. So, inner leadership is the invisible work that produces visible results. In the discipline of governing your thoughts, emotions, identifying motives, boundaries, habits, and spiritual postures. So you don't build a life looks powerful on the outside while you feeling chaotic on the inside. When your inner world is led well, your outer leadership becomes clearer, calmer, cleaner, and more impactful. You stop needing um, control, you stop leading from fear, you stop performing, and you begin lead from peace, truth, wisdom, and the integrity. So on this guide, guys, we're going to help you become the kind of leader you people can trust because you have learned to first lead you. What do you think, Amanda?
I think this is a really great topic because I think sometimes we like really our inner worlds are also sometimes a reflection of our outer worlds, right? And when we have inner chaos, our outer worlds generally chaos as well. And so I think it's really important to learn how to like get grounded and find yourself like really centered in who you are and what it is that you're trying to teach or lead or whatever it is. And I know even like in my classroom, if I'm like feeling very chaotic, then generally the classroom feels really chaotic too, right? And so I think it's because the kids pick up on that energy when that I'm feeling and they feel it too. And so when I feel really calm and centered and like grounded in whatever it is that we're doing, then they pick up on that and they engage in that the same way. And so even when I'm like teaching, I always need to be a few steps ahead of the kids and whatever it is that I'm doing or I'm planning. And in order to lead them, I have to like know that knowledge ahead of time, right? I couldn't teach something that I have no clue about. And so like especially because they just changed the curriculum, so I have to like learn all of the stuff before I go off and teach it. And so when we lead others, we have to like really figure out what's going on inside ourselves first. And I think that's one of the things is like learning even just how to control your breath or even recognizing what it is that is going on inside. When you feel escalated, what is it that's causing that escalation? Why are you feeling chaotic? What is it that's what inner thoughts do you have that are like a reflection of what's going on in your outer world?
I totally agree with you, Amanda, when you say our inner world are the reflection of our outer world. I think that is really, really important to admit that inner leadership comes first. Most people want to influence before mastering their inner being, but the truth is, if you can't manage yourself, leadership becomes a performance. So, and then deciding what your emotions, thoughts, impulse, reactions, and motives would no longer be left unmanaged. I think that's important. So you make your personal vow. I will not lead others beyond the level I can lead myself. Like Amanda, you say before you um, teach the kids, they change the curriculum, you have to actually learn it yourself. And so you can understand it, and then you can teach the children. Because once you understand it in your inner being and have a relationship with it, you are able to share it with someone else, and they are able to understand. I think most leaders, they do performance, they lead from fear. I think when I started as well, I was leading from fear. I thought I had to do this to perform. I had to do this in order to for people to hear my message. But now I just know that all I have to do, I just have to be me. I just have to love God and just show up for myself and show up for people. And if they like the message, they like the message. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, I think that's important too, is to really be grounded in who you are so that you attract the type of people that are this at the same like energetic level as you too. And I think that's something that people don't realize is you like your that quote of like your vibe attracts your tribe is so true. And when you are wanting to lead others, you want to lead from like this space of being like leveling up yourself as well. And those people, there's always going to be people who like quote the haters, right? Like even really famous people who are doing really amazing things in the world. I was just listening to a Tony Robbins podcast the other day. He was speaking on the Diary of the CEO. We were talking about it last week, and I'm sure there's people out there that don't like either of those people, but I think they're both doing amazing work, and I might not agree with everything that they say or do, but they have led from this like really grounded inner world that they've built around themselves, and then they've been able to like spread that across um basically the globe because they have worked so hard for what they've accomplished. And I know like when I was listening to Tony Robbins speak, he was saying that um it really came from nothing. And then he, the first year that he like was working, he wanted to give back in a way that he had been given to at one point in time when they had nothing. And so he bought these meals out of his like wage on Thanksgiving and donated it. And that the first year he was able to do one, the next year he was able to do two, and then he's continued that for years and years. And now his organization serves like millions of meals, and it just was so powerful to hear that. So I think that's something that we need to think about too, is like he grew. Our inner world doesn't change overnight. It takes a while to keep growing and keep going. And it's so many of us that perseverance isn't there. And so what's what changes like somebody who's quote unquote failed at something versus somebody who succeeded is really that inability to give up, or that willingness to just continue even when things are hard, and to give back. I think that's one of the things that's really important is giving back, because when we are able to serve others, it also like fills our cup too. And I think people don't really realize that because they're like out for what can I get for myself, instead of asking the question is what can I give, how can I be generous? How can I share? Right? And then we see more of that come back into our own lives.
Yeah, you are right, Amanda. I think the power of giving is really, really, really important. Being generous, I think, is really, really important. And also, I like it when you said he like lead from the space of um what do you say? Lead from the space of leveling up. uh, Never mind the haters as well. You mentioned about the haters. The the haters can be a distraction, but for me, what I say is when someone hates your message, because it's really easy. For me, if I don't understand something, I don't go into a space of hatred. I just scroll up. I I don't the only thing that I always admire is people who take action. Even if I don't understand their message, but I have to admire them and give them the credit for actually taking action, because being a leader is not easy. So sometimes when we come across the haters, is because they themselves, they can't do what you do, so they will try to find something to create problems. So it's really, really important to define the kind of leader you want to be. Inner leaders needs a vision. Write your leadership identity, and never mind the haters, like Amanda said. Um, Calm, discipline, honesty, pray, be prayerful, have a strategy, emotionally mature, consistent, compassion, be firm, wise. When pressure comes, you won't guess who you are. You will tend to what you decide. And I was watching this guy. He was a Muslim, and then God saved his life. He turned, converted it to a Christian. But when he was talking, I've realized that the way he was explaining how he was trained in Muslim society, and then he becoming a Christian, and then the process of the discipline that goes through, I realize that Christians spend time bickering, bickering of who is better than who, like you said before, Amanda. They spend time getting disciplined. They are disciplined, they know what they want, and there is nothing that stand in the way. So when he was speaking, I was like, he's teaching me to be disciplined. I need to be disciplined with everything that I do. I need to embrace my identity. Like you mentioned, the haters are always there. Sometimes I worry, and sometimes it's my family. So when he was speaking the process that they do and things like that, and now when he said when he came to Christianity, to him it was different. He said because Jesus saved him. He said, I had to ask the guy that saved him. I was like, I look at Christianity, I'm like, I can't pray like this. And I look at where I come from, we are disciplined. So I had to ask Jesus himself to teach me how to pray. And I think it is knowing what you truly want in life and where you need to be, your identity, and unapologetic, becoming that identity as a leader. And when you work on your inner being and bring it out, like be Jesus. So I was like, yeah, I need to do that. Um,
Sorry, you totally froze on my end, so I don't know if it
and
was
you
my.
were frozen as well.
Oh, okay. Well, we
I
both
don't
were.
know. You were. I think it froze your eyes. You went like you were sleeping. Was like she's frozen.
Yeah, no, I
I
couldn't.
think it says internet unstable. Maybe
Oh,
it's my main internet.
yeah.
I have a strong internet. I don't know why it's like that. Anyway, I'll hand it over to you, Amanda.
Oh, I had something that I was gonna say and I forgot what it was. I think when we go to lead something, like even if you think about like a lesson plan, if you're going to, or if you're going to go and instruct at something, if you're going to go teach something, you always have to have a plan ahead of time. So when we're looking at like even like our inner world, what's our plan of how is it that we want to feel, and how is it that we want to be able to deal with those emotions as they arise. We need to be able to like recognize what our triggers are, and so that we can lead, right? And when our inner world is feeling like very frustrated or chaotic, we need to be able to be like, okay, what is it that's causing that? And then how can I even lead others to model like I'm feeling very frustrated right now and I'm going to like deal with this in an appropriate way. And so what is an appropriate way to deal with like anger and frustration? And I saw this thing the other day and it was like feeling angry, go for a run. Feeling feeling tired, take a nap. And it was like all of these like very simple things to do when you're feeling those things. And I was like, I laughed because I was like, that's what I do when I'm angry. I'm like, I need to go run. I need to go to the gym because I'm feeling very frustrated and I can feel it in my body. I just need to go run it off because that's how I get rid of that feeling of anger, right? And that's a healthy way to get rid of it. Whereas other people, if they're feeling angry, they might go and drink, or they might go and yell, or they might go and deal with it in a less appropriate way. Whereas there are ways, once you learn about things, that you can deal with that anger in an appropriate way, because we're human. We feel all of the spectrum of emotions and sometimes we can feel multiple emotions at one time. And I talk about that in the little children's book that I wrote on It's Okay to Feel, that we can feel very different emotions even at the same time. And I've talked with my students about that too, how they can feel like happy and jealous at the same time, or like they can feel like sad and mad and different things. And so we sometimes we feel like we should only have one emotion, or we should feel a certain way about something and we don't, and then it's confusing. And so I think sometimes it's really important to dig into like, what is it that I'm feeling and why is it that I'm feeling that way, and why does our internal world feel a little chaotic, and then what tools do I have that are going to allow me to get rid of that chaotic feeling that I am having. And it could be just journaling out, writing out all of the things that are going on in your internal mind. And you don't even have to read it. You can just tear it out and burn it, or rip it up, or crumple it up and burn it after you get all of those like jumbled thoughts down, and really get clear on what it is that your goals are and what it is that you want to like put out to the world. And I think that idea of not what it is that you can get, but what it is that you can give is so important, because when we give, we're actually like receiving as well. Because I know, like for myself, when I'm teaching, like I just feel like a joy of like being able to like give knowledge and ideas and creative spark to kids, and then they come back with really cool things. And that's so inspiring to me, especially when kids like start to get something that they didn't really get before. Like yesterday, I hate teaching long division, but we've been doing long division for a couple weeks at school since we've been back from winter break. And we did a test on it, and one of my students who was really, really struggling with it, like did actually really well. And I high-fived her and I was like, look, like you worked so hard on being able to get this. But at the start, it was like even getting her to try any questions was like, you might as well just like put your head through a wall, because it was so like frustrating trying to like coax her into at least trying, and like being like, okay, like these are the steps. Once you learn the steps and the process and the pattern, because it is a pattern, it's really easy. But you have to like learn that pattern and keep practicing those steps over and over again in order to be able to get it. And sometimes it's like rewiring those circuits in our brain, or building new circuits in our brain, that allows us to learn and to grow. And if you're not growing, that's when things are, I think, not good. Because I was listening again to a podcast, and I forget which podcast it was that they said this, but they said, I think it might have even still been that same Tony Robbins one, where he said, if your business isn't growing, it's dying. And if you're not growing as a person, the same thing, right? That you're not, that you're just like staying stagnant. And so I think our goals always as humans should be to like grow and become better versions of ourselves all the time. And if we're not growing or striving towards growth in some area of our life, then then we really are being stagnant and being potentially dying inside, which we don't want, right? So how are you going to lead through growth in all areas? And growth can be look different for everyone. Growth could be starting to go to the gym. Growth could be reading a book every month or having a certain number of books that you want to read every year. Growth could be taking a course on something or trying something new. There's so many different ways to grow. And growing, I think sometimes we think that only kids do things that are new, but that's not true at all. We should always look at the world through like the eyes of a child and that curiosity and like, how can I learn something new? Because there's infinite wisdom out there and we can be learning all the time. I could learn how to do pottery if I wanted, right? I've done a little bit of pottery years and years ago, but if I was like, how can I grow and what is something that I want to strive for? And being creative and doing pottery was something that I'd been interested in. That might be a way to grow too, right? It doesn't always have to be a financial growth gain. It can just be like an internal, this is something I've always wanted to try and I never went and did it. So if you are one of those people and you're like, I've always wanted to do this, like what's stopping you from doing it? If you've always wanted to learn how to swim, what is it that's stopping you from learning how to swim? It doesn't matter if you're 20, it doesn't matter if you're 5, it doesn't matter if you're 50. You can still learn something new. And even if it is something like swimming where most people learned it as a child and you weren't one of those people, well, what's stopping you? Because the only person that's stopping you is yourself.
It's fear. Most people, they're being stopped by fear.
But it's their own fear because I've taught adults how to swim when I was a swim instructor, right? And I
Yeah.
remember this one lady, I would have been like probably 16 or 17 at the time. And she was in her 50s and she'd never been swimming before. And so I was really nervous to teach an adult like private lesson because the lesson was like one-on-one. And I didn't even know where to begin. And we began like we do with little kids, with just learning how to float, learning how to feel comfortable putting our face in the water. And I thought I'd be teaching her like how to do strokes and how to like maybe swim like proper lengths and it was, oh no. We had to go to like, can I float with a flutterboard, can I float with um different things to like make you feel comfortable in the water. And I remember just like holding her head and being like, okay, just relax, like just be able to just like float and like not tense your whole body up. And that took like probably like 3 or 4 weeks to get to that point where she could float. But it was inspiring for me as a child, as a teenager, to see this lady in her I think she was 50 probably, just being like, I want to learn how to do this and I'm going to. And I think that like you said, it is fear, but it's only your own internal fear that's stopping you, right?
Yeah, I think whatever we do, I think stops us is fear. Uh, that's why working with on your inner being is truly, truly important so you can show up for yourself. Because fear can stop you taking that first step to become who you are meant to become. And I like when you mentioned the growth as well, that how can you grow if we are not taking any action? So I think it's important that whatever we do, we need to take action. And just working on yourself and also identifying, telling yourself the truth about your current inner condition, I think is really, really important because many people are fine like publicly but struggling privately. So ask, what do I really feel right now? What am I avoiding? What keeps triggering me? What am I secretly afraid of? inner leadership begins with truth, because healing cannot grow in denial. Like Amanda, you said, like if you want to grow, you have to really, really, really divorce denial and just be honest. For me, is what helps me is identifying the things, my struggles. And when I identifying my struggles, I pray about them. Um, I pray for my struggles so that I can release that fear. Whatever I'm fearing, I have to deal with it. And once I deal with it, then I have to truly, truly move forward with my life. And even haters appear or people criticize. I had someone criticizing with my hair, and I was like, I don't think I have the time about when it comes to my hair to worry about my hair when I'm dancing, because I'm gonna mark it up anyway. That's what the dance is about, mark it up. So I just have to just enjoy myself. I said I'm not gonna enjoy myself if I'm worried about marking my hair.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just all about life, enjoying life to the fullest and embracing who you're becoming, and working on your insecurities, and just unapologetic and become who you are. I've had people say, Nomsa, can you stop with this God business? I was like, but I'm a Christian. I'm this. So I have to be proud of who I am. And watching that guy is made me realize that I truly, truly need to discipline my inner world, and I need to show up more for myself. I need to build a legacy where there is no fear within me. Like you said, Amanda, a fear can destroy, fear can cause stagnance, fear can cause delay. Fear can stop you doing the things. It can make you marry the wrong woman, marry the wrong guy. It can make you run the wrong business, run everything. So, but if you deal with it, you'll be able to identify who you are, your identity, and where you need to be, and just grow. So I think those are really, really important things. Over to you.
Yeah, I think that part about fear keeping you stuck is something that's really important too, because we don't always think about where is it that I'm stuck in my life. And if you take a moment to think about where where am I stuck, right? Am I stuck in a really unhappy marriage or a really unfulfilling marriage? What is it that I can do? And so many people I know, like because I've been single for quite a while now, people I'll think like, oh, am I ever going to meet somebody? And I just trust that I'll meet the right person at the right time because I'm always like doing things, right? And I know people who, and I look at other people sometimes, I'm like, oh, like being really nice to be in a relationship or to have someone. And then when I talk to certain people, their relationships are really not healthy at all. And I don't want that. I'd rather just be by myself. And so that fear too of leaving an unhealthy relationship into the unknown, of not wanting to be by yourself. And I think loneliness is something that keeps people really stuck in unhealthy relationships for way longer than they should because they're fearful of, will I ever meet somebody else? I don't want to be alone. What will my life look like? And there was one friendship that I had where I kept telling the girl like, no, like your relationship's fine, you guys don't have the really unhealthy stuff that I had in mind. And then eventually, like 10 years later, they did end up splitting up, and now both of them seem a lot happier. And so I look back on like my contribution to saying, like, to listening and talking with them, and I'm like, maybe I was wrong in trying to be like, you guys should work on your relationship because it's not as unhealthy as mine was. And I look back on that now and I'm like, everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own things that make them happy. And if you're in a very stagnant relationship that's not going anywhere and you're not growing together as a couple, then that relationship's dying too, right? You have to be growing together as in relationship. Otherwise, the relationship's falling apart. And I think that's something that I didn't realize either until watching those friends go through that, because relationship really is about growth too, and what can you give back, right? And what can you give in order to be able to receive more love? And sometimes if the other person isn't willing to work on themselves and willing to grow, then and you are one of those people that do really want to grow and become a better version of yourself, then you can outgrow a relationship. And that happens with friendships too. And we don't talk about that very often, is how you outgrow certain friendships and how you like can like almost divorce a friendship because it's become unhealthy, or you've just outgrown it and you don't have any alignment anymore. And so even when you're looking at your friendships, who is aligned for growth with you? Who is aligned for who is keeping you stuck in unhealthy patterns? Who is inspiring you to become a better version of yourself, right? Do you have any friends that you think are really inspiring because of the efforts that they're making in a certain area of their life, or their willingness to try new things? We were talking a little bit before the show about the fact that you like more recently just went on TikTok and how you're trying to learn the algorithms and everything. And yet there's so many people out there who, because they don't understand TikTok at all, and we said we didn't understand it either, but we're on it and we post things, but they're so fearful that they don't know anything about it that they won't even start. And so it's inspiring to know that you've just started, because you only have to know like one step ahead of you. You don't have to know all of the steps to get to the destination. You're just taking one step at a time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, it was built laying one brick at a time. And I think that's something that we often just get stuck, and we don't even like lay the first brick because we're fearful of, I don't know how to get there. You don't need to know how to get there. You need to know what the first step is, or maybe like the first three steps. Because I know I'm always in my teaching, I'm always keeping ahead of the kids, especially when I'm learning the curriculum for the first time. I have to keep a couple steps ahead of them all the time. And even when I'm reteaching the same curriculum the next year, I'm always looking for new ways to engage the kids, or something more inspiring to do, or something that sparks their interest, because each group of kids that I get is so different and they don't always have the same interests. And one group that was like really inspired by social studies concepts is like not the next year, and they like science more, or they like I have this really like cute group of kids that love to have body breaks that are just dances. And my one student from last year was like, we never did just dances. I was like, that's because you didn't like them. This group loves them. And the whole class is like up and dancing and they singing, and it's so cute to watch. And I've had groups that like you put on a just dance and they look at you like you're a crazy person. I'm too cool for those.
I'm too cool for
Like
that.
I only did those in grade two. And but this group that I have this year, they just love them. And they like dance and they sing, and it's so like inspiring almost to watch, because they're just so into it. And I love that about this group, even though they are a very high energy group of kids. And so I have to like shift my teaching in order to accommodate that high energy. And so when you're leading others too, it's also about surveying their energy and their interests. And then how are you going to serve them best based on their inner worlds and their needs? And so I think that's a big question that we need to think about too, is how, because if I'm just going from my own inner world and I'm not being reflective of the people that I'm trying to lead, and in my case it's children, um I'm not doing them any service, because I'm not being aware of what their needs are. And so I could have a group of kids that's really strong in math. And if I'm teaching them just what the curriculum says, and they're beyond that, I'm not helping them at all. Or if I'm teaching this group of kids and they're like looking at me like I have 10 heads when I'm trying to teach long division or fractions, I might have to go back to grade 3 math and like start at the basics so that I can help them get to the point where I don't look like I have 10 heads teaching grade 5 fractions, right? And so we have to look, when we're looking at our own inner world and to lead others, we also have to look at where are they at in their inner worlds and their knowledge and their experience in the world, and then take them from there. So I always say my goal as the teacher is to find out where the kid is at and then take them as far as I can, because every person's starting place is different. And we don't always realize that. We just, especially in schools where people think that, okay, you're in grade 5, your starting point is here. And that's not the case at all. You could be in grade 5 and your math competency is grade 1, your reading competency is grade 6, and your writing competency is grade 3. I've had kids like that who are like avid readers, can't write a sentence, don't understand basic math, but they can read and regurgitate tons of information for you. And that's like somebody with a gifted learning disability. So I can't just teach that kid grade 5 and expect them to thrive because I have to go back in math and be like, okay, how can we build up your basic understanding of these basics? And then in reading, I have to push them beyond. And then in writing, I have to go back just a little bit. And so how is it that I can design things that are going to have multiple entry points for all different kids, right? Because we're all at different starting points. We all come to school or show up each day as a different version of ourselves too, just even based on how we slept that night before or how we got out the door in the morning. And so our inner world is constantly changing too. And while we might feel great one day, something happens and then our internal world shatters the next day and we show up as a different version of ourselves each and every day.
Yeah, I like it, Amanda, when you say our inner world is constantly changing. And I think that is really, really important. And that's what I've been trying to tell people, that the norms that you guys know is the norms that I had fear before. But my life is constantly changing. My inner world is constantly changing because I am being aware of the fear that I had before, and I know where I need to be. I think that is really, really important. Like you say, you have these different children. They're like in different stages. They're good at this, they're good at that, they're good at that, they're good at this. And even myself, when I'm doing something, sometimes I'm like, I'm not good at this. And I'll be like, let me pass it to someone that is good at it so they can fix it. So I don't try to waste my time and trying to fix things that I'm not good at. So there's some things that we are good at, there's some things that we are not good at. And so you just have to pass it to people that know how to do it, and then they get on with it. And also being honest of where you're stuck as well. You mentioned that you have to be honest, and you have to be honest if you are stuck in marriage, if you are stuck in your career, in your academic. There are some people who truly, truly want to achieve things academic wise. They don't want to do it. They don't want to take that action, but they'll keep talking, they'll keep wishing, they'll keep hoping that I wish I can do this. There are some people who are in a relationship that they are stuck in the relationship with, like it, they are miserable in that relationship, because a relationship has to have its own struggles, but you have to be growing together in that relationship. If you are not growing, you are struggling, or your spouse is criticizing you, or things like that, it means it's a stagnation relationship. you have to evaluate it. And also, you mentioned that the fear of the unknown. And sometimes, yeah, fear of the unknown is the biggest problem. And loneliness as well. People will prefer to be with the wrong friends, wrong relationship, be with the family members that are constantly criticizing them because they fear of being alone. But the good news is you don't have to be alone. That's what God is for. You cannot be lonely if you have the Holy Spirit within you. So you cannot be lonely. So meaning that you have to take your time. If you are in a relationship and it's not working, you fix it, or if you don't fix it, you get out of it. And also because you can't grow if you are in a relationship like that. And also, you mentioned that everyone has a journey as well. I think once you realize you learn and your gift, you realize that this is my gift, this is my learning, this is my journey where I'm supposed to be, this is where I'm supposed to walk. And the journey is completely different. Everyone has a different path where they have to go. So if you expect your friends to walk in the similar journey, it's not gonna happen. So what you do is learn to pause before whatever you worry or react. A powerful leader has a pause. The pause is where wisdom lives. Train yourself, breathe, like pray, set back, ask questions. Slow down your tone reaction creates damage. Your responses creates directions. So your pause become your protection, and they also build emotional vocabulary. Many leaders know angry they only know angry or fine. So expand your emotional language. Disappointment, anxious, overwhelmed. A shame lonely question your marriage. You mentioned loneliness. Some people they can feel ashamed staying alone in a relationship that is not working because they are ashamed. They feel that if they leave it, they'll feel ashamed. So discouragement. Hopefully, when you can name, you can manage it. If it's shame, when you can name it, you can manage whatever you want to do, as long as you name that thing that is, whether is it fear and taking responsibility for your emotions. I think that's important. Is there anything else you want to add, Amanda?
I like how you said like taking responsibility for your emotions, and I don't even know that it's taking, I think we have to take responsibility for our actions, but for our emotions, be aware of them, because emotions come up and like hit you like a ton of bricks sometimes, right? Because they can just like come on like that. But it's how we then react to those emotions that we need to take responsibility for. And so that inner world piece is so much about awareness. And so if you are going to lead others, how much awareness do you have of those emotions and how you can give back to others?
Yeah, that's really important. What you just said, Amanda, and also I will add the heal the wounds you keep leading from. Unhealed pain leaks into leadership as control. So defensive, people pleasing, perfectionism, jealousy, or harshness, or all sorts of things. But courage therapy is needed, like mentoring, find a mentor um, to mentor you, and prayer life is needed, journaling, accountability, maybe get a accountability partner as well. Don't anoint what needs healing, heal it, and don't ignore it. So I think that was my words of encouragement, and also forgive without reconnecting to what harms you as well. Because sometimes, because of loneliness, people end up connecting themselves with people they shouldn't.
Yeah, I think that's really important, right? Is we're a product of our patterns and our habits. And until we change those habits, we won't see any change in ourselves.
Yeah, changes is needed. The habits, and you need to work on the habits.
Mhm.
Yeah, habits is big problem, and also stop being addicted to approval. Approval addiction makes leaders compromise truth to keep peace. So stop being addicted. Me, I rather people tell me what they think about me, and not to worry. It makes you perform, over explain, over give, and fear disappointing anyone when you're fearing disappointing anyone. But inner leadership chooses integrity over popularity. You can be loved and still be firm. Um, so for me, I think like Amanda, you mentioned discipline and alignment. I've wrote that down and it's going up there on my walls. Everything that I do, I need to do, I need to put the discipline first. I thought I was being disciplined, but I think I'm not. So I need to discipline myself. I need to have a disciplined mind. And everybody that enters my world, I'm gonna just be like Jesus. Jesus, he loves himself in a way that he doesn't compromise his kingdom. He's like, you want to come to me, this is the character. So I need to make sure that the friends that come to my life, they are aligned with what I'm doing. Everything that I do, business, relationship, it has to align.
Mhm. Yeah, like that alignment is huge.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
mentioned that, so I had you mentioned discipline and alignment the same time, and I was like, okay, I was watching that video, I felt discipline, and she's mentioning it, so I think it needs to go up there. Need to work on my discipline, even when I go to church. I've realized that I'm spending time wasting time with people.
Mhm.
Yeah, most of the time we do. We want to be understood.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's really important. But I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. And whatever your inner world is doing, just spend some time really getting grounded in what it is that you're feeling and then why, in order to level up and lead others.
Yeah, learn to self-regulate under pressure as well, and clarity your motives as well. Guys, if you're watching from YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We have a website, www.hseia.coach. Please go and sign up for coaching and matchmaking. If you are looking for love, please go and sign up. And please do join our groups. We have two groups, Unique Billionaire Mindset and Gossip Talk Shows. Be part of Nkosi Talk Show's family. If you want to follow Amanda, please do on her social media handles. Me and Amanda, we're both on TikToks, guys. Yeah, so you can follow us on everywhere on our social media. And if you want Amanda as a coach, please do get in touch with me or you can contact her direct. May you live with grace and may God bless you. Have a beautiful week and I shall see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm with Claudia and God bless you.